All right. Welcome everyone to this episode of Monetizing Your Mental Capital. I'm your host, Will Christensen, and I have Rich Goldstein here. Rich and I, it's interesting because we just before we started recording, we were saying, man, I think we're like half a degree separated. Like we know so many of the same people, and I've heard Rich's name and what he does over there over and over and over again. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
So my first question that I like to open up right out the gate: why would an Amazon seller, Rich, who's looking to scale and grow, maybe they're in their first 2 years of their business, why would someone like that want to hear or know about you and what you do and your background?
Interesting. So I would say like some of the biggest problems that Amazon sellers face with regard to their intellectual property can only be handled in the very beginning. So it's like if you want to
Mm,
avoid IP problems, then it pays to differentiate from the beginning in a way that's protectable. And also the seeds toward creating the maximum value of your brand when you exit, like getting paid millions when you exit, that gets set in the beginning. So I think they'd want to hear from me to come up with the right IP strategy that allows them to grow safely and maximizes the value for exit.
interesting. I love that. Tell me a little bit more, like as I consider this idea of IP and getting started in business. Tell me a little bit more about some of your background and accomplishments around this because Rich, you're like honestly, I'd never. I think we met briefly at some point. I was at the Prosper Show in 2018, so in Amazon years that was like 6 decades ago. Because Amazon years are akin to dog years. But like
I know if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, it was like an earlier age. Like that was the third age.
that was the third age. And yes, no, I'm definitely a Lord of the Rings fan. I have in Glamdring, like the sword just off camera over here, kind of
Awesome.
complements my Thor's hammer back there. So I'm a bit of a nerd that way. So yes, I agree. That was the third age. And it's been a long time since then. But I'm curious because over that time period that I've been involved in all of these different places, I have seen like some amazing results from different people. And when I hear people talk about legal or just in general, like, have you talked to Rich? Have you talked, Goldstein? Like, like you that you're very well known in the space as the guy that you call when crap hits the fan. What got you there? Like you don't get that sort of reputation without actually like earning some notches in the belt, so to speak, for accomplishing some things.
Yeah, well, I guess part of what got me there is that I've been doing this for a while. I've been a patent attorney for 30 years, if you could believe that. Right.
Wow.
And in that time, I've obtained more than 2,000 patents for my clients. And I've been in the Amazon world maybe about 8 years at this point.
Mm,
And yeah, and essentially I work with sellers to help them protect their products and protect their brands and to deal with IP issues because there's a lot of BS. Like a lot of BS IP complaints come up and a lot of people take an approach that isn't going to get them anywhere and I call BS on it. And so they often call me to really get the real deal on it. And I would say kind of how I kind of got to be that guy, so to speak, in the Amazon world is just by being around, by being involved, you know, um, by being part of the community. So it's like it's not just a matter of like, well, okay, he's got the expertise, so we want to call him, but it's everybody knows me and they say nice things about me and I think they enjoy hanging out with me. They enjoy coming to my parties. I throw some big parties in the Amazon space. And somehow that translates to, a certain type of comfort that, when they're in a moment where they feel vulnerable about their business, they want to call me and kind of get some clarity. And I guess they know that I'm going to do my best to help. So
love
I
it.
think that's kind of how that all happened.
I love it. So as you consider, I want you to just imagine with me for a second that an old friend from high school calls you up and says, "Hey, Rich, it's been a long time. Let's go get lunch." And you're sitting down at lunch and you're talking about stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, I've been doing the Amazon thing for like a year now, and like I things are really starting to pick up. You know, it's really cool." And so deep within you, you're like, "Oh, I want to help this guy out. He was a good friend in high school." What words of advice would you have for him? And you know, which of these categories might that advice fall into? So I'm going to ask you some different categories, and you tell me which ones are like, oh yeah, this is where I would probably give him advice. Would you give me advice on product launches, reviews, product listing, advertising, preparing for selling, preparing for scaling, or selling and exiting? So that those would be the different categories. I'm curious, which of those categories do you feel you'd be like, oh, I've got to tell him a little bit about some of these?
I'm gonna select E, none of the above,
Okay,
uh,
I like
because
it.
it's funny. Even the question you asked with they've been selling for about a year, that triggers something immediately. They want to make sure that every seller knows because they don't know this, and they guess
Beautiful.
too late, right?
So you're gonna be like, if they were like, what do you think you could help me with? And they mention those things, you're gonna be like, E, none of the above. I have a better piece of advice for you, something that most new sellers don't pay attention to. And if you're a year in, you probably haven't done this. And here's what it is.
And it's too late. Yeah, and so this is the deal. It's like so people thinking when people have a new product, something that's clever and cool, and they think it's going to do well, they often think about like, well, should I patent that? And they find out that patents aren't cheap; it costs money, and then there are a lot of things competing for your resources when you're launching a product. You can't spend money on everything, so you have to make some careful choices.
Mm.
So a lot of times people say, well, you know what? Like, I'm going to launch the product, and if it does well, then I'll patent it later. But here's the problem is once you make the product public, once you launch, 1 year from that date, it is absolutely game over to ever be able to get a patent on it.
So you
And
can't
when I
patent.
tell
Wait,
people that,
hold on a second. Hold on. So if I came up with, I mean, a revolutionary, I've actually got an idea. I'll toss past you. I want to make a Bluetooth timer that it's like a turn timer, but it's digital. And so like you have to turn it over for it to stop, like a physical something like that. If I created that, put it out there, got a year into selling it and was like, man, this is really going well. I'm going to invest in a patent.
Mhm. Then
I'm
it's
SOL. Like there's no,
and you didn't know that, and 99% of sellers out there don't know that either. So I can't
holy
tell you.
Nikes.
Yeah. I can't
Wait, so
tell you
you're
how
telling
many
me
times I
like
get that
there's
call.
no way I can't, if it's been out for a year, I can't patent it,
There's no way.
period.
Period.
Holy
Yeah.
crap. Launched a new product and didn't patent it. Like you've got like wow, that is a painful lesson to learn.
Now you know why I picked E, none of the above, because this is important information. It's like if that friend of mine who sat down at that hypothetical lunch table and said, "I've been selling on Amazon for about a year." The first thing that will pop into my mind is, "Wait, you say about a year?"
About how close to a
I'll
year
let
are
you know.
you right
How
now?
close to a year are you? Just want to let you know, like I don't know if you're arbitraging or you're private labeling or you've got a unique product that's actually protectable, but you just should know that this is the
Oh
issue.
yeah.
Well,
If you're in your first year, if they are using a unique product and they're beginning to see traction. Okay, so next question, Rich.
yes.
I have a guy who was on this podcast 2 episodes before you, and he's doing 8 figures plus. And he said, what I see in sellers that are going to succeed is how many new products they launch every year. How many new products do you launch every year? And he said, I can see a direct correlation to growth from our perspective. That is the leading indicator, that the trailing indicator is growth. and revenue and all of the above. It's the number of new products. So if he were to try to patent all of those, like, wouldn't that be cost prohibitive?
Yes, absolutely. And that's kind of the other side that balances it. So it's like this is the rule with regard to patenting. If you go past a year, it's too late, right? You need to have that in mind. And that doesn't mean like, oh, we need to patent before we launch. It means for some products that making a careful decision, like, are we going to patent it or not? And then not looking back. So it's like you decide you have 7 products you're going to launch. You see a real opportunity to do a patent for one of them, and the other 6, you say, you know, we're not going to patent this, and then that's the decision you make because you're as I said earlier, you're allocating resources, and you need to do that
Wow.
wisely. And so you decide you're not going to ever patent it. That's good. It's better than thinking in the back of your head like, well, maybe if people start to copy it, then I'll patent it. You just put it out of your head. We're not patenting this, and that's it.
So
Yeah,
tell
you have to
me,
be careful with your resources.
okay, so let's imagine we were developing a rubric of should I patent? So I'm that guy across the table, and he's like, oh my gosh, like I'm currently in the process of wanting to launch 7 new products. Which ones should I patent? Like what sorts of questions could he start asking himself to say like that one should be patented, that one's not as important, you probably don't, you couldn't patent that, like what are, and obviously we're getting into some nitty gritty here, so general rules is what I'm hoping for here that will lead people to come to you when it's most valuable.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you into my 7-step process for how to. I'm just kidding. I don't have a 7-step process.
I
But
was like, ooh,
let's
seven.
create one now.
Rich, you may want to create a 7-step process. That sounded
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
sexy.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of it. It sounded great.
It
Uh,
did sound great.
yeah, yeah. So, well, first thing is, first question I would ask is it the type of thing that can be protected? Is it the type of thing that can be patented?
Can it
Because
be
sometimes there's
protected?
just a real mismatch between the type of thing that's protectable and and what you have in mind protecting. So, like, would it even qualify? Uh,
Are
Like,
are
I've got,
patents, let's say that I have a service attached to my product, and I'm like, refilling a special type of battery or something, and there's like a monthly service attached to it, that kind of stuff. Is the service part patentable?
no,
Only the product.
only the product. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
And
protect the process, but not like a business process.
not a business process, but a process. So what kind of process is patentable?
Well, maybe there was something unique to how that battery got refilled, where it's a process where
Like a
I don't
chemical process of some
put
kind.
you take the battery out of the vehicle and then you put it on, you heat it up to 110 degrees, and then you allow it to vent for a 5-minute period, and then there could be some process.
Yeah, some sort of process that's
Yeah,
associated with the product that could be
right.
patentable. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, generally it's the product that gets that gets patented. So
Okay.
yeah, the first thing I want to figure out is like, does it fit a category? Is it the type of thing that can be protected? And so like on an everyday basis, that could be something like, well, like what are you launching? I'm launching some more of these bottles. Okay, so what's different about this launch? I'm going to offer them in some like pastel colors before Valentine's Day. Okay, well, you can't protect the colors of the bottle, so there's nothing there that can be protected, right? And then the second thing I would look at is um, how distinct is it from what's been done before? So it's like maybe you come up with the fact that um, there isn't much that makes it different, but our bottle has a longer neck or something like that. possibly we can get a protection for that. But if we look around, like there are bottles of different sized necks, and that's not going to give you a very strong patent. It's not going to matter too much to the marketplace. Uh,
Ooh,
yeah. So it's like, is there something which, if you were able to protect it, would it would it make a difference for the marketplace such that your customers would want the product because it has that feature that you're able to protect? And your competitors want to copy that feature because that's what's going to make people want to buy the product. And if they can't copy that feature, they might not want to even bother trying to compete with you. Then that's a good
interesting.
opportunity, right? So
Okay.
it's like, is it something that's possible to be protected? And then, like, are you able to protect something that's actually valuable?
Interesting. You don't you don't have any sort of like patent worksheet, do you? Like something that's like answer these questions and if you score over a 17 in my 7-step process,
Ah,
you should be calling me.
yeah, I didn't realize we were going to be brainstorming lead magnets, uh, but it's two excellent lead magnets here. Yeah,
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking about. I mean, if we're brainstorming lead magnets, Rich,
right.
the thing that popped into my mind was, what if you made a custom GPT, like a the Rich Goldstein clone GPT, and you taught it what questions to ask and give it some sort of scoring algorithm in the background, and then it says you should probably call me in real life right now because what you have is patentable. And like if you just put that on your website is like, hey everybody, come chat with my, come chat to see if the thing you have is patentable. I don't
Yeah.
know. Because
Oh,
that's the
I think
question
so.
I'm asking myself is like, okay, so I've got a product. And not only do I have a product, but I'm trying to launch many. I was on another call with Brandon Young, and Brandon, that dude launches products. Like
Yeah.
he like hunts down highly successful, awesome selling things that have fantastic ratings, and then he goes into the reviews and extracts out all the crap that people hate about it and says, and then goes into AI and generates an image of the thing that he wants. And he uses that image to talk to his manufacturers to get exactly what he wants created that's different, and then launches competing products.
Right. And so if I had a chat GPT, you could ask like AI Rich Goldstein, like, what do you think of this product? And the answer you get might be, hmm, why don't you come to my party in Vegas and let's have a tequila shot and talk about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the interesting thing about that AI is if you had it some context where it was asking some basic questions that like here's 17 yes no questions that if you answer in this way, you definitely like you cannot miss my party because you're sitting on top of something. Oh, and by the way, how long have you been selling this? I've been selling it for 11 months. You have less than 30 days
Right.
to
And
get
our
with
time
me.
frame. Right. And our time frame for getting an application filed is a matter of months. So it is. So if you start it today, it's a super rush project.
Oh my
If I
gosh.
could even take it on, I don't advise people to wait until there's even 30 days left. I mean,
So
usually
what's the latest you should be? What's your drop dead? Like you should be making a call on whether or not you want to patent something at month 7 or a month. Like where's the
I
spot
would
where you
say
would be
I would
like
say I would say month 7 or month 8 is
month
kind of
7 or
where
month 8?
if you want to have some choice of counsel, right? Because I mean, you find someone that could do something last minute, but it's not going to be good.
Ooh,
Um, you
right,
know.
right.
So, uh,
Holy cow.
yeah.
Okay, so by month 7 or month 8, you should be looking at this. So that adds some urgency to it. Um what other sorts of things should I be asking myself when I consider, is this actually worth a discussion with Rich? Is this actually worth And let me ask you this actually before we go any further. What's the average range cost wise? Like, are we talking about like, 2 to 4 grand? Are we talking about 20 to 50 grand? Are we talking about 100 grand? And I know it's like, how long is a piece of string? Well, it does, we do it till it's done, but the average is somewhere between X and X.
Right. Right, exactly. Um, well, yeah, here's the thing, and that kind of ties into your question too, because different prices for design and utility patents. Utility patent is for the functional improvement of a product, and that's around 15K. A design patent, which is for the appearance of a product, the ornamental appearance of a product, that's around 4K. So definitely different level of decision making that goes into it. Um, so it's like, going back to your question, it's like I would say if you have a product that has a unique appearance, then you probably should do a design patent if possible.
Mm.
Because, here's the thing. People get shut down every single day because of design patents. And well, probably hundreds of products get shut down every day because of design patents. But I see every single day someone who's been shut down or somebody who is shutting down their competition because of
Because of
uh
a patent.
because of a design patent. And so it's like people tend to copy your product in a way that's pretty exact. In other words, people don't get imaginative when they
Yeah.
copy your product. They don't get inspired to create their own version. They just copy it.
Which that's actually beautiful for you because then you just stamp them out with the design patent.
Yeah, exactly. Which means that if they look the same, and then therefore, if it looks the same, then it will infringe, and you'll be able to shut them down. And I get,
Interesting.
you know, I mean, all the time I'm dealing with people that have been unfairly shut down, where where it wasn't quite the same, probably wasn't even close enough to infringe, but Amazon just says shut them down. And I deal with that all the time. And I think
Interesting.
one of the lessons from that is it just pays to be the guy holding the patent.
That pay, yeah. Even if it's an unfound claim, it pays to be the guy who did the homework ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say if you've got a product that has a distinct appearance, and let's say you're a seller, like you're launching a number of different products, it's not like you're starting out with a $1,000 budget, and you're going to buy 50 units of a product and send it into Amazon. Like that's not you shouldn't be doing patents at that point, right?
Okay.
But it's like if you are, you've got some momentum. You're already you're in the first couple of years of selling, but you've got some momentum, enough momentum to know that yeah, I'm going to place a decent sized order for this product, a decent sized opening order. You know that you're going to sell it. It might do fantastic, and it might do okay, but it's not like you're never going to make a single sale because like you haven't gotten a feel for how the ecosystem even works, right? So if you're launching products in that realm where you have enough experience, it's not the first tiny dent that you're making. You should
Mm,
be you should be protecting any product with a distinctive appearance with a design patent. And here's the thing: is like it's not always going to work out in terms of like, well, this patent turned out to be really valuable because we were able to shut down all these other listings. You might not need it, but if you did 10, then guaranteed there are ones which, of those 10, there are at least a few of them which have been a very effective tool and giving you a very good ROI. And there's going to be perhaps one that was a home run, that it saved you hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost revenue because you had that.
love
So,
it.
and that's the thing. Like if you're launching a bunch of products, anyone who's launching a bunch of products is doing this. because they know that on average it's going to work out. When you're launching a single one, you know, your mileage may vary because sometimes it will be great, sometimes it'll be and sometimes it won't seem to matter. But you should follow the lead of the people that launch lots of products as long as you have the resources to do so.
So I just did a quick Perplexity search. Have you played with Perplexity at all?
I have not. I'm
So
way behind on.
no,
Oh,
you're totally good. This is an amazing tool. I'm just going to
no,
give
I've
you
heard
an anecdotal description of what it is because the listeners have heard me talk about it a little bit before. This is a tool that replaced Google for me. So perplexity.ai, and I can type in things like make me a rubric for, this sort of thing. I'm going to share the thread that I've got going on here with it because I've been asking it questions about like what sorts of questions I should ask myself to try to feed myself some ideas of things to prompt you. Um, I thought, well, wait a second. I wonder how good it is at predicting how much something like this is going to cost. And so I asked it that question, and it's tossing out cost range, including attorney fees, of somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000 for a design patent,
Mhm.
and $15,000 and $30,000 for a utility patent. Is
Okay.
that in the realm of like, yeah, it's probably that's a little low. If you found somebody like that, they're probably
Yeah,
not that good.
that's in the realm. Yeah, that's definitely in the realm. I mean, I would say, um, yeah, like I said, we charge about four K, but it varies, and like there are people that we do work in bulk and it costs a lot less. You know,
Yeah,
more the lower end of it.
yeah,
I mean, for me, the bandwidth of having my team manage a project to
yeah.
completion, that's about as low as is possible for us, is
Right.
around 4K. Um, and then with regard to utility patent 15 to 30, I'd say, yeah, that's fair. On the upper end, that's like software patents.
Okay.
Um, and but I would say though it could be even less. So some are more towards 10,000.
Beautiful.
Go online, you'll find someone who's telling you they can do a utility patent for like $3,000.
Right.
But
And are they actually going to be
mileage may vary.
successful? Yes. Yes. Results may vary.
Right.
100%. Rich, it has been a pleasure. Any final parting words with this friend of yours at lunch, who you've just grilled on this idea of patents, and their like eyes are wide open, thinking, okay, yeah, I got to make sure that I call Rich if I got something that's unique, and some of these different pieces. I got to do it by month 7. How much revenue do I need to see coming through it before I think, yeah, I should do that? And then I'd love to hear parting words.
That's it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I would guess a 10K a month product is probably calls for a closer look at whether it's worth it. Um,
Okay.
I'd say that's probably about the right range.
Love it. Love it. Well, appreciate your time, and any parting words of advice, books you'd like to share, hacks you've used that you'd like to
Oh
share
yeah.
with the audience.
Oh, speaking of books, the American Bar Association did ask me to write the book that explains how the process for obtaining a patent, like
Cool.
explains to entrepreneurs. So it's the ABA Consumer Guide to Obtaining a Patent, and you can
Hey,
on
that
Amazon.
sounds like a book. And do you is that a an audiobook as well? Have you done the audiobook thing yet?
Well, the American Bar Association is the publisher, and it's huge bureaucracy. I mean, they have 800 people on staff,
Oh, wow.
but I couldn't get them to do an audiobook.
Mm,
Um, but there is a Kindle version,
nice. And
and
and there are tools I have found out there that will. So if you're on an Android device, there's one called Voice Out Loud, or Voice something like that. Message me on LinkedIn if you're trying to figure this out, and I'll happily help you connect those dots. And then what I've done before is I purchase the book, and then I'll go find a PDF of it that somebody's made, and then I'll listen to it, after the fact, via the audio, because if I can feed the digital version to it. So I still purchase the book because I think it's important to support the authors. But I have been able to get around that and let a computer read the book to me.
I,
Because I'm an auditory learner. That's how I roll.
uh awesome. Well,
Rich, pleasure. Any other parting words?
No, I think that's really it. If you're coming to Prosper, I hope to see you at one of my parties that I'm doing. And yeah, it was just really a pleasure to be on your show, on your podcast.
All right. That wraps it for this episode of Monetizing Your Mental Capital.